Hi, welcome to the garden. I'm about a minute and a half early because, as I found out earlier in the week, it's always better to find out the mic's not working before you're supposed to really be live. Yesterday, we kind of cut off suddenly, and what happened is the internet connections went down. It was not just me, it wasn't just my little weird internet connections. There were some problems in this area, and so it was going in and out. So I just texted through my phone to let the community know. And other than that, we're going to look at a stone of the day. We're going to look at the garden again. And I didn't get to the part of the garden that was supposed to be highlighted yesterday, I don't believe. Hi. Yes, Andre, it's working. Yay! I didn't get to the part of my garden that I was supposed to highlight yesterday, the root chakra. So I realized that just before I went to bed, and so I went and I told my angels, I said, "Oh, good, can I have a whole night's sleep?" And I went to bed and I woke up at 6:30. No 3:30 dreams telling me what to do. Hi, Kevin's loving vibration. I'd like to talk to you, Kevin, sometime. You can find my email below to talk to you about what kind of tarot you read and what you do. I might be interested in talking to you about doing a quick collaboration. I always am interested in seeing other readers and how they work and what they work with. It is 30 seconds and we'll be at 1 o'clock and then I can start. Hi, Patty. I know you left your questions. I already have them written down. The one about the way they're answering questions about COVID, I think it's because they don't know either. I mean, they know the best scientific knowledge, but just a quick note of other things I listen to. There's a guy named John Campbell. He's a PhD nurse in England. He has over 1 million followers now, but he's the person I was listening to when COVID was first being discussed. I just found his channel one day. It's very, very knowledgeable. Reminds me of the kind of medical care people you want to go to. But he was saying that the viral load on the Delta variant's 1,000 times more than the original COVID variant. Now, thank God as many people are vaccinated as have been, and they're maybe getting milder subsystems from having run into it again. But that's just deadly. I mean, that's what's killing young people. I'm really concerned because my grandchildren are due to go back to school this fall, and I live in a state where the governor says you can't mandate masks on kids. They go to a private school where they already shown the spacing and all that stuff, but it really worries me. Okay, we're started. We're going to talk first about the stone for the day, and it's rhodochrosite. It's a beautiful stone, and it relates to the heart chakra. The medicine of the rhodochrosite teaches us to accept all aspects of ourselves and to embrace ourselves in all of our totality, to love ourselves deeply and for all of our traits, negative and positive. This stone, rhodochrosite, comes from the same family as malachite. This is rhodochrosite. This is malachite. It's just what mineral happens to get in with the foundation minerals when it mixes up. Malachite also has to do with the heart, but rhodochrosite does the heart and the solar plexus. So I use quite a bit of rhodochrosite in my grids because there's a lot of coming to terms with your own heart that goes into grids. It's a powerful crystal for self-healing and acceptance. So if that's what you're looking for in your life, and it doesn't have to look really pretty shiny like that pinky one does. This is rhodochrosite. This is from Argentina. I'm going to use this today in the garden. Brings in energy and unconditional love for balancing, soothing, and healing. It's just a wonderful stone. It enhances self-love and compassion, supports those who are emotionally overwhelmed, which is, I think, a lot of us these days, assists in surrender and letting go, and it helps you become more self-aware. So, instead of rolling out all 5 stones and say, how's the garden going to work today? Yeah, I'm worried about schools reopening next month. We're going to start with Where does the rhodochrosite, with its self-healing and love, want us to look at and from out of the garden? It's wanting us to find a path forward by seeing new emerging patterns. Earth means emerging patterns. Path forward means path forward. So now I'm going to put the other stones and say, okay, now we've learned from the rhodochrosite that we're supposed to find a path forward that's healing for us. What situation can the garden give us today that's a general reading for all of us? Oh. Well, we're clear about what's going on around us in the present. The problem is a lot of us are tied embodying false truths. This is the body, and sometimes that means embodying. And embodying and false means embodying false truths, bringing those forward instead of understanding our own vibrations. Earth. We have spirit in earth, and spirit's moving towards the rhodochrosite, which is great. Transforming, but it's not yet finished, and it says balancing our energies helps us move ahead. Our values are in air, and I'm going to shut my little dingy thing up here. Wait a second. I'm just going to turn the sound off completely. Okay. I hope that'll stop it from dinging. I've got in air, I've got values, and that says mental actions is our way to into abundance, and our mind is in earth, which is a good grounding place for it to be. And it says final thoughts are coming. So this peace and what's coming towards us, we just need to be patient. It's coming towards us slowly. I would much rather them not tell me a pack of lies than just sort of couch it in then couching it in terms that overpromise a positive goal. I think that that's really dangerous when you're dealing with something as difficult as what we're going through. It's like, have you ever wanted to reach in your TV and slap somebody? I mean, other than the Orange Wonder, but I mean other people. I was watching the governor of Alabama, who I watched 2 months ago, berating people coming in trying to pass out that bad medicine in her state, sitting there and crying because, oh my God, these people, why didn't they take this medicine? Now they're being hurt. Really? It was not a good news cycle for me, that one. The other thing I want to talk about before we get too much in here so that this is sort of my business in this thing. The root chakra in the garden, it's here. It's up here, and I got a trip to the root chakra the night before last. And what I woke up with was I was kind of in a cellar, like a root cellar, like an underground place. It was closed. Things had been stored in jars and clay containers, very earthy, loamy smell, not musty, not like rotted things were in there. But it was not being cleared out by a lot of clear flowing air. The voices that always talked to me said, choose me. And that was the input from these jars. Pick what you want. Pick what are you going to store here. What are you going to keep in your root chakra? What are you going to base your security from? I moved beyond that area to where the plants were preserved in a lighter flowing currents of air. I don't know if you've ever seen them store herbs, but in the old days they would hang them on wires or pieces of string and they dry. I actually had a huge herb garden one time and dried all my herbs that way. I'm gonna kill something. I've got to stop this noise. Okay, I think I made it go away. I hope I did. Anyway, when I moved beyond the area to where the plants were being preserved into a lighter flowing currents of energy, it's not just stored, but they're not growing, but they're just up there. They're there as sort of a, you can go pick what you want from there. And then I went up. I had a feeling that everything was active and connected with the elements close to me. They were attached. and that there's a lot of energy attached in all this stuff, but there weren't plants. It's like all of what's holding this up is truly under the ground. They will. It said, okay, so choose the vibrations and frequencies you want. Truly see what the next seeds can allow you to have to flourish. There's a second chance for all of these things, second thoughts. But second thoughts are not plants or flowers that you can feel and hold on to. They're the roots and the seeds, and they're the foundation of where we come from. That's what we're looking for, is our foundation. And it's a lot like what I talked about the other day, the lodgepole pines, that the pine cones can't become active until they go through the trial by fire. What I got from the root chakra was, when you read something in the root chakra, understand it's sort of the underground part, it's sort of the hidden part, it's the roots of the plants, and that's what make us strong and hold us up. Because the root chakra, when you're doing your meditations, normally it'll say this is where your foundations and thoughts are coming from. So I think the root chakra is kind of this interesting sort of storage space, and we can store seeds there to hold for ourselves, to hold on to. We can, I think once we let them go, then they start flourishing by going through the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, and the energy grows up through it. But in the root chakra, the energy is kind of almost hidden and underground. Okay. And a question that was left in the community, and it has to do with COVID. What's the name of the deck that I'm using? For the stones, it's this Healing Oracle Crystal Healing Reading Cards. That's the deck I use, that I pull from every day. Otherwise, the deck is the garden. Oh, I know you've got two questions on here, Andrea. The first one was about okay, we'll just do that situation. You're watching the TV, somebody's saying something, and what they're saying kind of makes a certain kind of rational sense, but your discernments, all your little radars are shooting out of your body saying, that is the bewitched noise. That's my notice noise on my phone. You can't get it anymore. I can't. If I ever lose it, I'll never have it again. Okay, now we're going to go hardcore, seriously into what is the situation around what in this garden can tell us how to deal with it when our own discernment is telling us that there may be something wrong here. How would the garden lead us? What situation would it tell us to work from to move forward? Okay. Oh, it says, listen to your spirit. I'm sure that's what it's saying, because it says your spirit's in the present and your spirit's feeling into the future. Your spirit's feeling definitely that something's wrong. Your mind is in water, which means it's dealing with the emotional sides of things, not just the factual sides of things. So I'm going to shoot that phone. It says let go of limitations. When your mind's and your emotions, you can let go of your limitations because you're not boxing it in with a lot of factual truth. Your body is in air, clarity's in air, and the values are in air. I think you're right on, Andrea. When you get a feeling, when you think you're hearing something that's wrong, go and listen to your feelings. I think your gut's very, very accurate in that. And so I hope if you want me to do something about COVID, I can do that too. Oh, good, Angelita, you're here! Yay! Oh, your garden got 2 hours of moonlight before the rain came. Blessings. I know rain is a blessing here. I had one other question posed in the garden, and it was a COVID question too. So what's the situation that's going on around COVID? What do we need to know about what's going on around COVID? It's such a broad topic, but around COVID. for our spiritual community. Oh, good. Okay. Spirit's saying that gotta go for it. It's actually moving on to things, okay? Spirit is aligned with ideas, and Spirit is moving forth. I think they're getting a better grip on this, and I think it's moving forward. I think our problem is we kind of have to deal with things we've known from the past, and that's why our clarity is coming from. A lot of times we're focusing on what we've been through, and I think sometimes people didn't hear as clearly the clarion calls how bad this was until we really got overwhelmed by it. So don't let yourself fall into this. Your own value systems, you have the ability with it falling in earth and path forward that more is going to be brought forward to you, but you're on the right path. Abundance is being created for you here. I hope that's not the abundance of the virus. I hope that's the abundance of good knowledge for us, and I think it is, because our mind's in here. And our bodies, I think our bodies are going to come out of this better in the future, and people are going to start to take more seriously feeling well, because the excuse me, the body also drips into the crown enlightenment. I'd say it's saying that when we focus on the outcome becoming a better outcome and focusing on the good things instead of the negative parts of all this, we move forward. And I think that that's kind of how I feel about it. I do feel like they can't tell us everything they know because they don't know everything they know. You or the world, love and peace. I mean, you want a question that's a spiritual question. You want to put a question in that's a you question. Okay. In general, I'm wondering about having poking me in the gut. I want clarification. Well, what you could do is, okay, what we were asking about is kind of where's COVID going for us? And so if your gut was saying it's all falling to trash and they're lying out their teeth to us, this doesn't say this. This says that what your spirit is tying you to is telling you to go for it. Those are very positive places in the garden. And what's holding you back and making you get lost in the weeds is that things weren't clear before, and it's falling back on your own clarification. Does that help you at all, Andre, in understanding? Because like I told you, there's not I'm clearing it up as I work with it more, but there's not an answer. There's this is an intuitive tool for you to feel with your gut what works right. And it's different. I know what it's like to read cards with people when I'm face to face with them. I know what it's like to read cards for them when I'm on YouTube. But I don't know what it's like to read. I've read the stones a couple times with people. As a matter of fact, one of the first women who bought a garden from me, she was an old client from reading. She had absolutely no interest in cards. I mean, if I read the cards, that was fine. But she didn't want to deal with that. And I met her at times 10 to talk to her about something when I still thought it was safe to go out. And this was just a few weeks ago, and I brought the garden and I showed it to her. I said, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working with. And she had a question. And I said, you want to roll your own stones and see what answer you get? And she rolled it and she said, she got her answer, and her answer happened to be very, very difficult. She was in Las Vegas in the parking lot when that guy turned it into a shooting alley. And she actually left the parking lot with someone else's blood and body matter on her clothing. She was smart. She came back home and immediately went into and found someone to help her through what she knew, even though she was saying it wasn't that bad. She she went through help, got therapy. She also ended up getting pregnant and having a baby, and so her life kind of got redirected in a lot of ways. But she still works for the same company she worked for before, and it's an international company, and they wanted to have a meeting, and they voted on where they wanted to meet, and they voted to meet in Las Vegas. So her answer was, can I go back there? She went back. That's what they told her, that she needed to go face it, that would be the end. She said, I'm going to carry that scar with me the rest of my life, but I'm glad I went back. How do we get people vaccinated? Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm going to ask the stones what clarification they can give us in the garden if we're trying to talk to someone about getting vaccinated. Oh, okay. It says your spirit needs to speak from your solar plexus. And if you don't know much about yoga, and solar plexus and chakras, that is the one that is where our power comes from. And it says power comes from using your own spirit to transmute and to transform. And then the body is speak from your own history and your past of how you've embodied your understanding of this. And also, I think, and right in the middle, Patty, you couldn't have asked a better question. Right in the middle is the pyrite, which is our values. And, like I keep telling you guys, whenever they meet on nexus points, that's a more powerful part of the reading. That fell right there. And that means mental actions are the path to abundance. With this, clarification comes from dealing with things from your past you can bring forward. You need to move forward, bring them forward from their own fears. And this says grounding and changes will help you settle away from long-term patterns. You have to understand that a lot of people that are afraid to get shots, their fear comes from some other incidents or something that happened. Now, if they're a fool and they listen to some clown on Facebook that they don't know from Adam, I don't know what you can do to help them. But your other ways of helping them, where your mind is in the tree of life, which is beautiful. The mind in the tree of life means you can open them up with radiant guidance because what you're speaking is true. So I think it's like you have to go in with the idea they're tied to some things in their past. They have some fears. Take in all of the spirit that you possibly could have, all the abundance of your knowledge that you've learned over the times, and touch them through the clarity by dealing with it from an emotional point of view. I don't mean say I won't love you if you don't get this, but to tell them how much you care for them and want them to get it. And I'm a truther about this part, guys. I got the flu shot once, got the flu. I got the pneumonia shot once and got pneumonia. And I was terrified when I knew they're going to develop a vaccine. And I said, well, I don't have the greatest track record with this. But because it's the RNA, it's the mutated RNA, not DNA, I did not get sick. And I got the shot. I barely knew I had the shots. They kind of threw my kids for a loop, but I got the shot. And the only reason I knew I had gotten a shot is because I had to take the Band-Aid off where they put it over it. But I can understand people, if you've had a doctor sit there and say, you need a pneumonia shot because of your age, and then a week later you're in Baylor Hospital with pneumonia, it's scary. And people have those things you need to go and explain to them. My friend who's a PhD in physiology and endocrinology, she explained to me why RMA was different. And I said, well, I'll get it anyway because it's just not worth the risk. But I had no problems with it at all. But I do understand someone having fear because I'm hearing that they're going to take lots of vaccines and put them in this format, and that'll help us. Okay, Kathy G wants to know about her love life. So let's see the situation around Kathy G's romantic relationships. Or relationship, if she wants one different. We'll see. We'll see what we get. Okay. Your mind's in the tree of life. Your problem is, I'll see. Oh. Gotta figure out what you got hanging in your past that you keep bringing up. Use lessons you've learned to get the answers for who to go with. Because I'm reading this. Okay, I'm going to give you the thing. When I roll the stones, these four are kind of together. This one's the outlier, so I read that first. You try to look at it first to see what basic message it has. And it says, use lessons you've learned for answers. Now, you've got a great, your next furthest out one is your mind, and it's in the Tree of Life, which is just a wonderful, wonderful place. And it says, you're open to radiant guidance. I think you're getting some guidance now. You're getting inklings. Maybe I ought to go over here. Maybe I'll look at this person, that person. You've got some of that going on. You have a good ability to bring that into your life. And then all the rest of it is action forward, movement, thoughts. The air is the equivalent of swords in the tarot. And in air, you have got your body. You need to ground your thoughts. Get grounded like the sword of truth. Boom. Get grounded in what you really want. And your values are hanging out between air, which is mental actions help with your path of abundance, and water, which is grounding. Changes are settling into some long-term patterns, but near those you also have in air your spirit, which is great. It's that spirit transforms all situations. So when you get really clear in your own mind, evaluate. I've had friends who said, go write a list of, what you really, really want in someone. I think sometimes it's best just to say, whatever's shown up yet, in write, and work from there. I think with your relationships, you're in charge, girl, but I see something coming. Now, as far as the season, I think you're going to be meeting someone over this summer that's going to get better, but I don't think you're going to really tie into who they are until the winter. That's winter. Up there, winter. This is summer. This is spring. This is fall. Oops. Okay. I had somebody write me and they asked me, which do you use north, south, east, and west by those directions in your home? How do you decide? Because in the very center of this, there's a north, south, east, west. And as you can tell, mine are backwards. What I do is I just pull the scarf out, lay it in front of me, and whatever's this pointed down to me, that's how I use it. I think every person needs to try something else. One day, maybe I will try laying it out when I'm doing some readings on my own to test things and see if I put it in the directions, because I know that's well, I actually am right now. It's in the right directions. This is definitely east. This is definitely west. That's definitely south. Is that right? South, I think, and that's north. I know that's north. So that's south. And it just happens to be that way. And I rarely have I read it with air coming towards me, because the air I always think of moving away. I don't know why. Oh, well, until we had the vaccine, it wasn't safe to be near anybody. And trust me, I spent from February of 2020 until February of 2021 when I had my second shot, and then it was 4 weeks after that, so it was really March, I started going out. I don't blame people who died of COVID. I don't blame people who didn't know they had active COVID for giving them to. Patty, I don't know what your dream was. If I can tell you a little bit about it, I can tell you what signs and symbols it would mean to me. If you have dreams and you want to work with your dreams, I would strongly suggest either getting a little tablet by your bed or getting a phone by your bed or something that you can type in, because that's what I do. If I didn't roll over and type in what my visions are at 3:30 in the morning, I wouldn't remember what they were the next day. I would wake up and said, ooh, that was weird. And I've only had a few lucid dreams that I can't forget. And those are very interesting. Yeah, Andrea, I'm about the COVID deaths. I have a friend who lost 4 family members that were close to him in New York City in the time that it was running rampant through New York, and it's taken him a long time to pull himself out of it. He still is not out of it. He still feels like more should have been done and blames all the people who didn't act as quickly as they could, but I don't know what to say about that. But if you let your guard down, and I hope the daughter will have some survivor's guilt, I'm sure. Okay, one person wrote to me about, because I'd mentioned something about personal years. I'm going to tell you really quickly how to figure out what personal year you're in, because I don't have a lot of questions and I really hate making them up myself. Your personal year it's set by your birth date. So in my case, my birth month is May. My birthday is 2. So you add 5 and 2 together, so that makes 7. And okay, and now I've got Patty's thing. And then you add together the digits in the year, and since we're in 2021, that's 2 plus 2 plus 1, so that's 5. So I've got a 7. That's my birth, that's the month and day added together, and then I add 5 on. So whatever your birthday, whatever it adds up to, add the 5. You have to get it down to a single digit. And personal years are really important. I'm going into a 3-year, which which is like a chance to start bringing all kinds of people together. 1 year is you're starting a new 9-year cycle in your life, and things are bright and new, and you're going to find all sorts of new offers. You're going to do a lot of things alone. You're going to have to do things more on your own. In a 2-year, you're working with the people you've met in the 1 year, communicating back and forth. A 3-year is like a triangle, and the communications flow really, really well and clearly in a 3-year, and you'll have a lot of opportunities to have that happen. A 4-year is like your life's a square. You're like going to things and you hit a corner, and then you go to things, you hit a corner. So your body, your life flow seems to start and stop a lot in a 4-year. But that's giving you a chance to clear out the things you don't need. Just like 4 in Tarot means building a base. 5 years, if you've done your 4-year well and you got rid of the trash and got rid of the things you really don't need, you can move forward into a 5-year, and that's freedom or chaos. And if you've ever known anyone whose life path was a 5, it is freedom or chaos. And I do believe that the Orange Menace's life path was a 5. But in a 5-year, a 5 personal year, a lot of fun things will come up, a lot of new things will come up. And then then you go 6 is hearth and home, 7 is spirit, 8 is money and power, and we're putting all this energy together to get all your money and power together, because then you go into a 9-year, and in a 9-year you evaluate everything you have, and you sort of clear the way so you can go into a new 1-year. Somebody asked me about personal years. You can Google the term personal year, and you'll find more stuff than you ever want to know about personal years. Okay. Strange dream. Okay. You got bit by a snake and got a shop that saved me, but everyone else was acting weird. I think your spirit looks upon the fact that even though you might end up in a situation that's very toxic, like being bit by a snake, you can rectify that for yourself by getting help from others. But other people might have seemed weird to you because, you got better. I really don't know. I think the main part of that is you get bit by a snake, and even though bad things happen, you find a way to resolve it and move on. Okay. Will your boyfriend get his second knee replaced this fall? Well, let's see. What's the situation about... Oops, my board is... I tried a new thing with the board today. This is why. Okay, now let's see. Let's see if we can get some situation and timing on boyfriends and E. Oh yeah, he's clearly doing it in the fall. He's got 4 stones in the fall. It's his path forward. I have 2 artificial knees, so trust me, he just needs to do the PT to get it better. His body and clarity is coming from that. I think he's been through more than enough of this, but he really, really wants to get better. And that's the PT out here, the spirit and solar plexus, taking your spirit and putting it in a place where you can create action with it. But his mental attitude is the path forward, and I'm getting a feeling he's got a good attitude about it, and it'll probably be in the earlier half of the fall. Probably be in the latest it would be in late October. Okay. See what the situation is around Ronnie's husband's book. Okay. He's really speaking from a very clear place, so I think that's really good for him. He's speaking the truth as he understands it. His values in his mind are in the right place, in air. That's in thought. This is an idea, maybe you can let me know, Ronnie, but this is an idea he's carried for a long, long, long time. And it's been part of his spirit. And he's speaking from a truth that has become a truth for him over time. His body is in truth, which means he's embodying truth or what is true. So I would say this looks great. It looks great. Is it a book that's something that has to do with someplace he's been, or is it something he studies? If Ronnie can get back. I don't know how long the delay is on these chats. Let's see. I know what we're going to try, Ronnie, because I haven't tried it before. Since this is my heart stone and the solar plexus stone, the rhodochrosite, I'm going to throw it on the board and see what answer we get about your husband's book. Yeah, it's coming from his past. It's almost like he wrote a book in a past life, but it's his heart and his solar plexus are in it. He's on fire about it. He really is doing a good job. He may have some points of some writer's block because it's almost so close. It's hard for him to understand. Anybody else got a question? FYI, your information, I will be with Sheila Celtic Tarot on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I believe 5 o'clock my time. Let me check my notes. It's 6 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock her time. It's going to be 6 o'clock Central Daylight Time. And it's a continuation of the show she and I started doing on politics. And this show is going to be... Okay, Ronnie, I'm going to look at the 25-year part. This show is going to be in a continuation. I went through the principles of politics and how, why things go the way they are. I have a former partner that I ran political campaigns with. He and I are going to do if you want to run for an office, what do you need to know? What do you need to think about? What questions do you need to ask yourself, first of all, about internally whether you can run for office and be happy doing it? We used to do this with people because we worked with people who are running the first time or people just starting out. My partner was very good at figuring out win numbers and saying, this is how many people you have to reach, this is how many people you have to get in the voting booth for this race. But we often found that when we did the 10 questions with people, they found out, maybe there's some stuff involved with this that I really don't care to get into, or they'd say, no, that's fine. And the ones that said, great, it's fine. Okay. But it gives you a level playing field, because I hate to see people halfway get into a race and then feel like they have to they pull out, and then they sort of feel like failures. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a discussion of how to find out what the rules for the road are when you run. I had a candidate who spent several $1,000s on stationery he couldn't use because he hadn't titled it right. You have to put the word "for." You have to say, like, it'd be Nancy Jean running for whatever the campaign is, and he just put his name, Texas State House. Well, you can't do that, because and that is actually litigated law that went all the way up. And if you do that and you present yourself that way, you're in trouble with the courts, and it's big bad fines. So, I mean, just little things like that. We're going to talk about that. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to do that, Sheila, because that's the part of politics I don't mind discussing, because it's practical information people can use. We're also going to discuss, if you want to volunteer for a campaign, to look it over and see what it's about. 2 questions on numbers. The number 3 is after 1, building new foundations, and 2, connecting with a lot of people. 3 is where you build a communication and you build a community. And you're going to express a lot of stuff during a 3. I don't know. I could lay out for Ronnie whether he's going to finish in the book. Yes, it does have a lot of moving and hidden parts. Okay, I'm going to ask Angelita. Yes, question, please. I'm a 7 spirit. What does the garden see for me for the rest of this year? If you're in a 7 year, okay. A lot of third eye intuition coming to light for you. Some really interesting things happening to you in the spirit arena. You're going to run into a lot of synchronicities. You're going to have a lot of clarities coming just out of things you bump into that you're not going to be able to plan to get there, but it's helping you heal things that are coming out of your past. I think your year is going to be fun. I think this summer a lot of things have gotten a lot clearer for you, but I think it's going to be an interesting year all the way out. If you've got writer's block, let's see, but I think write lots of little bits and pieces on index cards and then move them around. Then you don't have to get to the end of the page. You just have a lot of 3x5 cards. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're going to look at writer's block. We're going to say, okay, universe, if I'm sitting and I'm in a situation with writer's block, what elements in my life can I pull in to help me move forward in a more productive manner? Okay. It says that, actually, I think it's kind of interesting. This where the spirit lands, the way I'm reading it, just reading it cold like this. I'm going to look at this too, but okay. You need to balance forward the thought of moving forward. You need to balance that with, you have a false expectation because you have both the spirit and the mind straddling path forward and false. And it's coming from the earth. So the way I would interpret that particular thing is, you create false reasons why you can't move forward. You're moving forward and then you go, no. You're self-editing. Don't self-edit. That's way too much self-editing. Your values are really right next to your mind, so when you need to get out of the thinking and just get into the writing. Don't Don't say, God, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Don't go back and self-edit when you're halfway through reading it, writing it. Let it go. Clarity is going to come for you in the air, and this stone in regards to writer's block says just be present in your body, just be where you are, and quit thinking about all the other things that are going to come or go, or what happened yesterday, or anything else. Be in that moment. Use the clarity you're getting from your mind at that point in time, and don't self-edit. Okay. Anybody else have a question? That's why I write just a page, and all my pages that I'm writing about the dreams I'm having about the garden. When I was getting the input about the stones, I had to put each stone on its own page because I couldn't let the vibration and the frequencies around the different stones color. Well, does that really go with that? I needed each stone to stand on its own, and I had to feel like it fit within the description of what I wanted. Okay. Self-edit, bingo. Yeah, I know. That's one of those things I tend to do. Okay, I'm going to pull a surrender card for everybody today because, quite honestly, guys, I'm a little bit tired. And I got up early today to do a reading for someone who absolutely positively had to schedule on a Saturday, and then they didn't show up. So apparently they were not supposed to be on Saturday. It's okay. That happens. It doesn't happen all that often, actually. And you do know that I do private readings. I do garden readings. I do past life readings. And I'll explain that whole process to you for past life readings. I'm going to shuffle these again. Yeah, listen to the synchronicities. I cannot tell you how many things that just happen to be said to me. I got my hair cut yesterday. As you will notice, it's stunning short self because my hair grows really fast. I'd have Danny hair if I let it go for 6 months. But when my hair grows out in the back, it grows like into horns. It gets all this weird stuff. It just makes me nuts. Anyway, Casey's 42, 36 years ago. I was talking to a friend of mine on my front porch in Bordeaux, and I said, I had at that point lost a whole lot of weight, or was about to lose a whole lot of weight. And I said, I'd like to go get my hair shaped differently because my face isn't Charlie Brown pumpkin round. And she gave me the name of this guy. And she said, oh, yeah, I just met this guy. Seems really nice. He cuts where my guy cuts, but Michael's completely full. You'll never get into him. Call this guy. That's the guy who cut my hair yesterday. He and I have become good friends. He's absolutely marvelous. We've been through 3 marriages for him. And he's been through 2 marriages with me, but one I was widowed. But we've been through 4 or 5 divorces, kids, custody, all kinds of crap. And he was just the name I got one day because I happened to think, oh, I really like your haircut. Who does it? And I'd like to get my haircut. So synchronicity is really important. And Carl is a dear man. So, what do we need to surrender today? Oh, this is a good one for what we've been talking about. Surrender to the wisdom of your body. Andrea talking about getting gut checks, and other people saying, am I in the right place? Listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you're energized and happy, move forward. So if you were looking for a way, I think that the garden's telling me it really wants to move forward. I think if you're looking for something like that would follow the wisdom of what we've been talking about today. The other thing I'm going to talk about is at the end of this month, I have the $10 off certificate. If you want to get it mailed to you, we can just email me and I'll get it to you for buying the garden. At the end of the month, I'm going to run a private couple classes in the garden, because by then I'll have all these spaces even better divined out. And I think it's hard for people to be here every day and learn how to do this. I do get messages every day from people saying, how do I deal with this, and what happens when this happens? And I'm trying to play with it enough every day to be able to help people with it. So if you have a garden, by the end of the month, it'll be in early August that I'll offer the course in how to work with the garden, because I'm finding it kind of a fascinating tool. I'm finding it a fascinating new divination technique, and I'm loving working with the rocks all the time. So if you'd like a reading, if you'd like a grid, if you just go to my website, Crystal Directions, and you can see all the different stuff that I do. And I hope you guys are enjoying the Olympics. I watched the opening ceremony because I can remember watching the opening ceremony when I was a wee wonka on a black and white TV. I just find some of the things I can remember that I learned by watching the Olympics that just broadened my mind. And I think it's in a scary place with COVID, but I love watching people really perfect themselves and get to that point. And I hope you guys enjoy the process of the garden. You can ask questions about the garden if you don't have a personal question, like the person that wanted to know, is there a real which way is up, or what the different stones are. I'll go over them again for those of you who've missed that. I just hate to repeat myself too many times. That's why I'm trying to bring new stones in. And as you get your own gardens, you will be able to roll your own stones in there. I'm not making it. The universe is making it. It's just you. Trust me, Melinda. Who's it? Oh, I was listening to Abraham Hicks the other day, which is always interesting. Esther, he's talking about when they started channeling through her. I totally understood what they were saying. It's like, I'm not sure I want to be here. Now she says I would never get off. I'm so happy of where I've ended up. I'm happy with the ride, but trust me, there have been days in this that have not been good. And I mean, as far as just me feeling totally exhausted, like today. But I look forward to seeing. I'll be out again at 1:00 tomorrow. If you have a friend who said, "Gee, I would like to go to a reader, but I don't have the money," they can come on and ask me questions. I try to be as helpful as I can. I take everything from a spiritual base. I do not do political questions except on principles and only on shows where I talk about politics as a specific thing. So, now we all know where we stand, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you. And Kevin, go in and find my email. Send me an email so I can know how to get in touch with you. I will talk at you all later. You have a lovely day. Go enjoy the Olympics, or go enjoy outdoors, or go enjoy something